So one of the reasons that there haven't been a lot of podcasts coming out recently is because I am working on the Noble Ape iOS app. It's really just for iPhones, starting out small. And I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to be perfectly frank. There are a lot of issues that are making this a more curious and interesting project than I had originally anticipated. A number of them relate to my professional life. I am probably the most connected person with the iOS app release at Netflix. I do the full cycle associated with submission and releasing, and I run a bunch of tests on it. I'm really very hands-on in terms of rejection, everything. This is my professional life. And that gives me a degree of intimacy with regards to these iOS app things, which makes me wonder, is it worth putting some part of my after-hours life in a similar circumstance? And this is causing me a lot of really interesting intellectual discourse. It's making me wonder if maybe maintaining Noble Ape just as a developer app is the way to go. What happens when you release something on the App Store? There is an infinitude of possibilities. There is great talking point success where you become potentially something which is reviewed and talked about in the media. That has some benefit for someone who's just recently been expunged from Wikipedia. That has some benefit in terms of a variety of possible talking points. But what do you say when they say, oh, but wait, what's this other Noble Ape thing? Or how do you explain, this other Noble Ape thing? Or why are you copying this other Noble Ape thing? Where do you go from there? And also, a lot of the narrative associated with Noble Ape, particularly in the recent years, even if they don't ask explicitly, has got a lot to do with this other thing. So I've been playing ideas out. I needed to feel a little bit better about myself. I'd just been expunged from Wikipedia. Why did you put the Noble Ape app out at this stage? What is the correct answer to these things? Now, naively, in the past, as you've heard through this very recording, the trajectory of this very recording, I had the hope that there might be another human that might participate and help with this thing, purely in terms of dealing with the media, both in terms of cultivated publicity and also potential occasional publicity. But without that, it's a very different question. The other extreme is that there are many unfound bugs in the Noble Ape source code, which all my testing and all the testing of others that are out there have failed to turn up. And by putting an app out, you have an immediacy associated with fixing bugs and pushing releases. And I know this because that's been my professional life for the past 8 years. So I'm in a strange quandary. And this is just completely removed from the software itself. There are things within the software, too. Noble Ape is written to make processors get hot. That's what it was optimized for. That's what Apple and Intel used it for. That is not what end customers want. So part of releasing the app is actually working out where to stop that from being a thing, where to hobble the app in a variety of different ways. So firstly, it's user visible. Having something that runs very quickly is interesting, but it also can be very confusing, and you have all these kind of perspectives associated with, well, you're trying to give someone epilepsy or these kind of things. And I found this just through putting promoted pieces on Instagram and getting that immediate feedback. Even as a free app in the App Store, you will have to deal with feedback of all different stripes. And you then have the question of once you release something, you have to maintain it. You have to have a future release cycle. You need to be able to be responsive to users' concerns. And that is a substantial effort in this day and age. So from all of this, I have still come to the conclusion that I want to release the Noble Ape app. And I'm going to do it in my own time, with my own musing, with my own missteps. But I'm going to do it hopefully in a fashion where all of these things will become manageable. In parallel to this, there is a small community on Discord, and I would say for folks who are following Noble Ape, who are not yet on the Discord server, it is the easiest way to have like-minded communication with others in this area. Long-time Noble Ape participant Bob Mottram has not yet come to the Discord server. When Bob Mottram arrives, I'll feel at peace with the Discord server. But it is there as a means of people to communicate about these things. So there is a small group of university students. There's Anton from the Biota podcast there as well. There are a few people there already. And other people that have found this thing through Instagram, which is how the university students also arrived. So the trick is, can you move that community to a community which is prepared and ready for an app cycle release thing? All these things are taking time. Thankfully, less time than the actual software itself. But that is taking time too. And if you see a reduction in frequency of these particular recordings over the next few months, it is probably because the iOS app has become all-consuming. And after everything is said about this, this is software that I used to release in a similar fashion, just not with quite the extreme spotlight that these things could create. For many years, I produced a version of the Noble Ape simulation every 2 to 3 months. My hope is that this iOS app thing could also be done every 2 to 3 months. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I don't know if that's possible. But I'm going to try. And hopefully, through all of this, will come some kind of outcome which is remotely net positive. One can live in hope.